Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I bring to you a Hexwarp Thrallband kind of refresher review. Uh, this was one of the detachments that I initially was pretty harsh on. Then I found a couple of funny things that, just it was different than Cult of Magic, something you could do. And I think that now that the Thousand Suns have been almost completely rewritten in some aspect or another, uh, it's worth thinking about Hexwarp Thrallband. So, for just a quick refresher, what the detachment does: flow of magic. You always get psychic attacks, reroll wound rolls of 1. If they are wholly within your army's flow of magic, which is the whole like shadow thing, and we've seen this all the time, your deployment zone is already your area. If you control half of more of the markers of no man's land or your opponent's deployment zone, that is also your flow of magic. And if you are in that, you get +1 to wound roll for psychic attacks instead. Pretty simple. Previously, too many characters both didn't have psychic attacks, and two big characters that you were taking often kind of gave you this anyway. So it was whatever. Stratagems are okay, and we're going to talk about a couple of highlights. Enhancements, also okay. We're going to talk about a couple of highlights. And the first thing I want to talk about actually doesn't have any psychic attacks, but I really think you might want to consider taking them. Sekitar robots. Once per battle round, you can target this unit with Fire Overwatch or Heroic Intervention for free. They have Heavy Warp Flamers, Hellfire Missile Wrecks, Pyre Flux Meltaguns, and a close combat weapon. You can substitute that Meltagun for a Warp Flame Projector and one Warp Claw. Why would you consider this? Well, previously, and something that Thousand Suns kind of are still struggling with, except for the fact that now they can just lift everybody off the board. I mean, they could at one point, but then they got nerfed. Anyway, is board control. Now that you have infiltrators that are T6, 3 up save, 5 up invul, and 4 wounds apiece, with flamers that can overwatch for free, you might have some board control. You might get that. They also have stealth, so they're -1 to be hit. Also, I think that, substituting that out, the Meltagun, yes, it gives you another flamer. It also gives you Power Claw for heroic intervention on top of that, but if you are controlling a couple of objectives, you're in your flow of magic, you can get a fight on death for a 3 up. That previously only really helped out the Scarab Occult Terminator. So, Wrath of the Doomed, looking at you. You finally have a decent enough include to start looking at it. So, Sekitar robots, I think, are pretty nice. And another one that is pretty nice to help combo that a bit: Armin. He has Scryer of Fates now that lets you redeploy 3,000 Sun units. If you redeploy infiltrators, you can put them far up, make it so that your opponent doesn't get to do any real shenaniganizing at the start, and then bring them back somewhere else. But also, the thing about Armin is he can attach to Rubric Marines, and over here, Rubric Marines have access to Through the Veil, so they can deep strike. Uh, Rubric Marines are Rubric Marines, but giving them deep strike while they have the access to reroll wound rolls of 1 is pretty nice. And also, if they are targeting a unit that is within range of an objective marker that you do not control, you can reroll the wound roll instead. Also, pretty good. Uh, we like to see some of these things. Armin is an epic hero, so we're not looking at enhancements here. But Through the Veil is pretty nice. You can, again, get that deep strike going after you've screened it out. Warding Hex can let you land now this Psyker unit somewhere to sticky it. Pretty good things. Also, Scouring Warp Flame, you can give them, well, they already have ignore cover, but you can make it so that they strip cover from other people, or for other people, I should say, because Icon of Flame can give you ignore cover for the unit, but there's that. So yeah, also Strange of Time, give them fallback, shoot, or declare charge. But if you're within flow of magic, you get fallback, shoot, and charge. You're playing Thousand Suns, you probably don't want to do that charge thing too often, so fallback and shoot is fine enough as it is. -1 to hit with kaleidoscopic Tempest, because they are a Psyker unit. So Armin looking pretty good here with some Rubric Marines would be my guess. I guess you could still look at the Zangor. That's your call, really. Next, another one that can deep strike, and interestingly enough, 6 inches. Demon Prince with Wings of Zinch, Hunter of Souls. If you are targeting the character unit, reroll hit rolls of 1 and wound rolls of 1. If that character unit is a Psyker, it is flat rerolls. And also, each time this model destroys a character unit, regain up to D3 lost wounds. If that character unit is a Psyker, flat 3. Aether Stride. In your movement phase, when this model is set up on the battlefield using the Deep Strike ability, it can perform an Aether Stride. If it does, it can Deep Strike 6 inches until the end of the turn. Its Dark Blessing has sustained hits D3. Can't charge after that. Now, talking about Dark Blessing, congrats. There's another Psychic attack to be used. Dark Blessing ignores cover. Psychic sustained hits 1, 24 inches, 9 attacks, hitting on 2s, 4-1-1. Not the best attack, but remember, this is also a character, so you can give something like Arcane Might, 20 points. +1 to strength on that psychic weapon, +2 if you're within the flow of magic. It's psychic weapons plural, so yeah, also it can go on the Dark Blessing to bring it to 5-1-1 or 6-1-1, but also it can make your Hellforged weapons that have devastating wounds and is psychic, either, strength 9, 2, 3 on the strike, 10, 2, 3 if you're within flow. We can do math. 6-1-1, 7-1-1, 8-1-1, right? That's pretty decent. Sustained his D3 and just having that all the time, cool. +1 to wound and +2 if you are within the flow, also pretty good. So you can turn a Demon Prince with Wings into something scary enough for 170 points. Deep strike 6 inches, sustain his D3 the turn that you do it. Yeah, pretty okay, pretty okay. You can also take some other things where you can add 25 points while the bear's unit is wholly within flow of magic, +3 to attack characteristic of ranged psychic weapons. You could do that. I don't think that you really need to, but just saying. It's there for you. So you have Rubric Marines that can deep strike after screening out with Sekitar robots. You have Demon Prince of Zines with Wings that 6 inches after screening out with, things. But the other one that has 6-inch deep strike in this detachment, thanks again to Through the Veil, can't charge after it. If they're within flow of magic, by the way, too. Don't forget that. Have to be within flow to get the 6-inch deep strike. Can't charge after it. Scarab Occult Terminators. Wow, this unit contains one or more Psyker models. Each time an attack targets this unit, subtract 1 from the wound roll. Now, the Scarab Occult Sorcerer that comes with them is a Psyker, so you can stop there, which is fine and dandy enough. They do have Malefic Curse. Cool. Psychic weapon. Also for that, Force weapon can be had as well. Heavy Warp Flamer, again, and some Hellfire Missile Rack also can be equipped, so we've seen that over here. That's just decent to have. D6, 5-2-1, Hellfire Missile Rack, 2 attacks hitting on 3s this time around. 10-2-3. Should be said about the Hellfire Missile Rack on the Sekitar robots. They do hit on 4s. Yes, Scarab Occult Terminators. Now, if you do want them to be led by a Terminator or a Sorcerer in Terminator armor, you can give them lethal hits. And also, in your shooting phase, after this model's unit has shot, select one enemy unit hit by one or more of the attacks made with a psychic weapon. Until the end of the phase, each time a friendly Thousand Suns unit makes an attack that targets that enemy unit, +1 to hit. So, you put them together, hit somebody with a psychic weapon, a psychic weapon, +1 to hit, psychic attacks, re-rolling wound rolls of 1, or +1 to hit, +1 to wound, psychic attacks, do the thing. Pretty good. And going past that, they also have lethal hits, right? Going past that, Demon Prince of Zines. The other Demon Prince might make us out here because, yes, if they're around infantry, they can become Lone Up now. That's pretty cool. Also have Spirit Snare. Each time a friendly Thousand Sun Psyker model with the Cabal of Sorcerer's ability is destroyed within 9 inches of one or more models with this ability, select one of those models with this ability until the end of the battle. Each time the selected model attempts a ritual, add 1 to the Psychic test result to a maximum of 2. Pretty cool. Can start making your Ritual is a little bit more consistent out of your Demon Princes, but even better, going to this unit that is -1 to wound, you can make them -1 to be hit at range because of Glamour of Tzeentch. There's an aura on the walking Demon Prince of Tzeentch, while a friendly 1000 Sense infantry unit is within 6 inches of this model. Models in that unit have stealth. So, -1 to be hit, -1 to wound, put out some damage. We like to see it. That's pretty good. But also, let's talk about Forge Fiends. Forge Fiends is something that when I said that I found a little funny thing, not necessarily to say that it came straight for the Forge Fiend, but if you drop some Scarab Occult Terminators, make it so that they ignore cover with Scouring Warp Flame, and then strip cover, you can then put in Forge Fiends into your opponent. But the Tzeentchian Forge Fiends have Blazing Salvos in your shooting phase after this model has shot. Select one enemy unit hit by one or more of those attacks until the start of your next turn. That enemy unit is suppressed. While a unit is suppressed, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, subtract 1 from the hit roll. So, between stealth on the Sekitar robots, possibly putting Kaleidoscopic Tempest on Rubric Marines, Demon Prince of Tzeentch could also have it, right? Because it's a 1000 Sun Psyker, is indeed a Psyker. Scarab Occult Terminators next to Demon Prince of Tzeentch. You can have a lot of stealth, a lot of well, not a lot, -1 wound, but -1 wound on Terminators. You just make it harder for your opponent to hit you, and then Forge Fiends for whatever you feel might possibly hit you in melee, or just that you don't want to expend the Kaleidoscopic Tempest on. Looks pretty decent, and it still is a Forge Fiend, so it has Ectoplasm Cannon, Blast, 36 inches, D3, hitting on 3s, 10, 3, 3, and there's 3 of them. You're taking 3 of them because you're replacing the 2 Hades autocannons. More likely than not. Also, it is a 1000 Suns unit. So, going back to that Cabal of Sorcerers, if you use something like Destiny's Ruin, select one enemy unit within 24 inches of and visible to the manifesting model. Until the end of the phase, each time a 1000 Suns model from your army makes an attack with that unit, reroll a hit roll of 1. If the psychic test result for the ritual was 10 up, you can reroll the hit roll instead. You can just give a Forge Fiend reroll hits. You can also give them bonus AP with Twist of Fate. Select one enemy unit within 24 inches of and visible of the manifesting model. Until the end of the phase, each time a 1000 Suns model from your army makes an attack that targets that unit, improve the AP by 1 if the psychic test result is 12 up by 2. So, again, going back, you deep strike Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings, maybe Scarab Occult Terminator Sorcerer guy, Scarab Occult Sorcerer, maybe the Sorcerer and Terminator armor, because each one of them has Cabal of Sorcerers. Detach them, and both of them get to try to do some things on a unit. Get that going, get some rerolls. Demon Prince of Tzeentch, now your Forge Fiend can possibly be a P4 rerolling hit rolls entirely, right? That's pretty nice for 140 points, and somebody could have stripped the cover, so it could be AP4, ignores cover, rerolling hits. It could be insane for 3d3 blast, strength 10 shots. And finally, can't forget him, Magnus the Red. T11, 2 up save, 4 up invo, 16 wound, 14 inches of movement, also has Deep Strike. Lord of the Planet of the Sorcerers, Psychic. This model can attempt up to 2 rituals per turn instead of 1, and each time this model attempts a ritual, add 2 to the Psychic test result. Magnus has a lot of Psychic attacks. Gaze of Magnus. Devastating Wounds, Psychic, 24 inches, 3d3, hitting on 2, strength 11, AP2, damage 3. That means fully within your flow of magic, you are wounding a lot of the game on 2s. Probably happening there. Hell, actually, thinking to the strength 11, you were now going to wounding big knights on 4s now. Now you're wounding them on 3s for D3. 3d3. No, that's not going to take them out, but it's better than nothing. You also have Tzeentch's Firestorm. Blast ignores cover. Psychic D6 plus 3, hitting on 2, 6, 1, 2. Pretty decent, right? Blade of Magnus, because for whatever reason, Magnus was hitting the gym. Devastating Wound, Psychic on the strike. 7 attacks, hitting on 2, 16, 3, 3. great. You get access to Crimson King. I guess you could use Time Flux every now and again while a friendly Thousand Suns unit is within 6 inches of the Psyker at 2 inches to the move characteristic of models in that unit. You're probably doing that turn 1. After that, you're using Impossible Form. Each time an attack is made against this Psyker, subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of that attack. Oh, and again, because there's a Psyker, don't forget, can become bum 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 -1 to be hit with Kaleidoscopic Tempest because of stealth, or because somebody got shot with the Forge Fiend and now they're trying to shoot Magnus. And if it's wholly within the flow of magic, benefit of cover with your 2-up save that you probably already had because it's 10th edition and you're playing a big model. So all of that to say, I think that Hexwarp Thrallband finally isn't gutter tier. And in fact, it actually might be kind of good. I know everybody is still on Grand Coven. Yeah, Grand Coven, right? I see some people waking up and realizing that Warp Mailed Pack. I don't care how much you hate Zangors. Those are pretty good rules. Warp Forge Cabal was actually what this video was going to be for quite some time, if I'm going to be honest, because I really wanted to see what Sekitar robots can do. And Warp Forge Cabal, I'm not going to say that it's that good, but I don't think it's that bad. I think giving Land Raiders possible +1 wound just at the cost of being around a Psyker and a command point and becoming psychic attacks, like giving Las Cannons +1 wound, Sekitar robots +1 wound with that stratagem, the same stratagem, reroll a hit roll, a wound roll, a damage roll. It's okay, but I think the most encompassing thing is Hexwarp Thrallband, and I didn't even mention in this one because it's not necessarily too pressing here, but you can still include just the other good things, such as a Mutalith Vortex Beast, right? Nothing is stopping you from bringing a Mortalith Vortex Beast. Mutalith, goodness, not a Mortalith. Mutalith Vortex Beast. There we go. Just using more mutating vortex, 5-up Feel No Pain, T10, 4-up, 5-up Invuln, 13 wounds, put it out there, get some mortal wounds on people, and use Immaterial Flare while a friendly Thousand Sun Psyker model is within 6 inches of this model each time that model channels the warp, +1 to the psychic test as well, 160 points, a blast attack, that is just good, 24 inches, d6 +3, hitting on 3s, 922. Get the beam for devastating wounds. 1 attack hitting on 3, strength 18, AP 3, d6 +6. You know, you also have access to a flamer, a torrent, 2d6, 6611. Melee is going to do melee what it does for Thousand Suns. You can still just bring good things too. So maybe some Sekitar robots, maybe a Mutalith Vortex Beast or 2. I'd probably say take the Forge Fiend first just because the -1 to hit if you want to keep it going. But if you care more about the rituals, probably sub that out. I think it'd be fine enough. 20 more points though. But yeah, there's some play for a lot of things in Hexwarp Thrallband now that previously there just wasn't, and you had no reason to take. So Hexwarp Thrallband, congrats GW, you saved Grotmus for the Thousand Suns. There's a couple others that I'd like to see get changed, but for now, I think it's fine. So yeah, if you like the video, like it, got a comment for me, comment, and until next time, peace out, my monstrosities.